So someone asked about fruit. How much fruit should you have? And they asked if 1 cup of berries with about 1/3 of a banana or a few pineapple chunks is too much to add to a smoothie for 2 people. And the answer is if it's for 2 people, that's perfect. So for 1 person, about 1/4 cup of berries, or excuse me, about 1/2 cup of berries and 1/3 of a banana is okay. But keep it right about that. And no more than about 1 to 2 pieces of fruit a day. If you're diabetic or pre-diabetic, less is more. And the next one, is bottled water okay? So I always like to say, keep this question in your head. Compared to what? So we travel a lot, we're super busy. So, you don't want to demonize things when, you want to keep this question in your head. Compared to what? Is it healthy compared to what? Compared to not drinking water? Probably, but don't let it get hot, okay? Opt for glass bottles or filtered water, in a glass when you can. And one of the things I want you to pay attention to is not drinking too much alkaline water. And I know people go crazy when I say that, but I learned this from a very, very smart functional medicine doctor, sports doctor friend of mine. He explained to me that too much alkaline water is almost the equivalent or about the same as taking antacids long term. And if you read this insert on a pack of antacids, you'll understand why that's not a good thing. Because when you take antacids long term, you're decreasing stomach acid, which affects your ability to basically digest food, which is going to affect your ability to absorb minerals and form vitamin K and do all sorts of other things. And it will create small bowel overgrowth and all sorts of stuff. So a little bit of alkaline water is fine, especially after, say, a really tough workout. Or when you are overly acidic, you've been traveling or you're eating really, you've eaten too much meat or whatever. But don't overdo it. And then someone asked about my thoughts on cultured and fermented dairy and vegetables. They're great, but here's the thing with dairy. So fermented foods are really good. When we talk about dairy, some people are still not going to be able to tolerate the milk proteins very well. So you can get lactic acid-free yogurt, and you can also get goat's milk and sheep's milk yogurt, which does not have the same properties as cow's milk. Many people can tolerate it much better. Also, coconut milk yogurt, which be careful because coconut milk yogurt has a ton of sugar unless you specifically get unsweetened, not plain, but unsweetened. But then it's really good. It's got cultures in it and it's excellent. Foods like sauerkraut and things like that are great because the probiotics in them are great for your gut. Let's see, number 4, kefir, same category as commercial dairy. I'm gonna say the same thing. The problem with most kefirs that I've seen commercially is that they've got a lot of sugar. So you want to watch that. And if you're making it at home, be careful that you are watching bacteria, okay? Because I've seen and heard of people getting really sick. So just be very careful about that. The next one is, I get extreme abdominal pain when eating avocados. So what can I have that's a substitute? I always want you focusing on what you can have, on what's good for you that helps you be vibrant and thrive, not on what you can't have. If something is, not working for you because you're allergic to it, by all means, you do not want to be consuming that. So there are so many other healthy fats you can have. Don't have avocado. Think of coconut, other nuts, seeds, nut butters, seed butters, fatty fish if that works for you. So the healthy fats that are really good for you, just avoid the bad fats like the trans fats or palmitic acid that is in a lot, really heavily marbled commercial industrial meats, things like that. Oh, boy, we're getting through some of these really well. So foods to lose weight, but this person, they said that we talk a lot about people losing weight. That's because so much of our society is overweight. But this person needs to gain weight. And I actually work with a lot of people who need to gain weight, believe it or not. And those people aren't very popular, so I apologize. But we work with police officers and we work with, military personnel, and they need to usually gain weight because their jobs are so busy. So what I want you to focus on in that case, same principles, same philosophy. Don't restrict calories. You may have to increase portions, number 1. And you also might have to increase healthy carbs. So things like sweet potatoes or maybe some steel cut oats. We normally have people restrict those way back because they do put weight on you. It's the carbs that put weight on people more than anything. They add muscle and size and all that stuff. Protein actually causes people to lean down, to get really sort of, more defined. but the carbs help to bulk you up. Also add more fat because it'll just increase your calories. So if you need to gain weight, that's how you would think of doing it. Someone said I'm a type 8 brain, which probably means you're over-focused, have a busy brain. And if you're over-focused and have a busy brain, and this person suffers with a lot of brain fog, they want to know what kind of foods will help. We're going to do a whole video just on what foods are best for your brain type. But really quickly, if you have a busy, over-focused brain, but you have brain fog, don't eat a carbohydrate-based diet, especially for breakfast. Okay, so you want to clear that brain fog with protein and fat for breakfast. But if you start to get a little bit of a lag, say midday, maybe then have a healthy carb, like maybe a half of an apple with some almond butter or some sweet potato, something like that, that might give you that little bit of bump halfway through the day. But start your day with protein and fat. Next question, is oat porridge or oatmeal made at home with rice milk bad to eat in the morning? And I had several questions on oatmeal. So here's our answer. Eliminate it for the first 2 to 3 weeks. We want you to get rid of all grains if you can for the first 2 to 3 weeks because we want to reset your hormones. And then we want you to think of eating gluten-free grains like steel-cut oats, not instant oats, steel-cut oats, as a condiment. So as an occasional treat, like once or twice a week, and in small amounts. So think of a condiment. It would be your side, not your staple. And if you want to make it a really complete meal, like when I'm on the road, if it's one of the safest things to get, I will get some steel-cut oats, maybe a 1/4 cup, add some protein powder to it with some coconut oil and or some, say, slivered almonds, so some healthy fat. And that is like a great meal, maybe even a few blueberries. So now it's more balanced. I've got that protein and fat in there. I'm not going to get that fog all day long, and it's not going to jack up my blood sugar as much from eating a big bowl of oatmeal. And if you want it sweet, then add some stevia, not the brown sugar, or the honey, or the, I know, I'm gonna get all these questions about all these other sweeteners. And coconut sugar, I get a lot of questions about coconut sugar. Coconut sugar is a sugar, A little bit lower glycemic, but not that much. So put it in the category with maple syrup and honey, which you will find in some of my recipes, but you're gonna find them in minimal amounts, not moderate amounts. Forget the word moderation when it comes to sugar, minimal. So think of it as a recreational drug, because that's what it is. Let's see, the next question. Someone found black bean rotini, and the only ingredient listed was black bean flour. So I would ask this person to look at the carbohydrate content. It's probably very carb heavy. Again, I would say think of this as an occasional treat. I would, think of quinoa pasta, which is still pretty carb heavy. If you're looking for crackers, I'd think of things like flax crackers, which are actually more fatty because they're made with flax seeds, but they're a really good treat. And just think of them as occasional. We talk about legumes, again, eating them in small amounts. So eating them more like a condiment because they can actually upset people's digestive systems. Many people are sensitive to them and don't realize it. And if you eliminate them for 2 to 3 weeks and then add them back in, you'll realize pretty quickly whether or not they're affecting you negatively. Fruit juice. This is a really good question. Someone said we keep talking about not having fruit juice, but they like to drink a lot of water, this person does, and so they add a squeeze of lemon or lime. That is actually a really good thing to do. That doesn't count as fruit juice. Okay, so I want to just make that clear. That does not count as fruit juice. Have at it. Lemon or lime is actually very alkalinizing. If you're adding, a couple squeezes to your water, that's a very good thing. And I think we are just about out of time. That was 10 questions. I'm going to add more. If you didn't get all of this and you want a written form of this, don't worry. I'm going to move so you can see this. I want you to go to my blog. It's going to be in my blog this week. All of these questions are going to be written out in tanaamen.com along with a new recipe, and I've got a ton of my older recipes on the site as well, so you will have plenty to be able to get started on the program.